Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you for joining me. It is Wednesday and also Fed Day, December 13th, 2023. So we'll start right in. Our risk indicators have been relatively stable. Watching the relative strength of the dollar is pretty much close to the same. We're watching that 10-year yield. It's dropped a bit because they're expecting Jerome Powell is going to be speaking after the meeting today at 2:30 p.m. when he takes questions generally when the markets start moving. So yesterday we watched the stock market pretty much hit a rally in towards the end of the day because they are still pricing in more Fed rate cuts, or at least to go a little softer in their stance. We've got more inflation data coming up, but futures are showing a bit of red. So we'll see what happens today because we are pretty much waiting for the Fed this afternoon. That is the sentiment. So we are getting the PPI crude oil inventories, and then mostly it's all going to be about the Fed in the afternoon. We've got a few individual stock movers. Costco got upgraded, and then we also had Airbnbs having problems, beginning to show initial cracks under some regulation and some other news. The airlines should be pretty strong today. We'll see how that plays out. Not financial advice, but just a couple of ideas if you will be trading today. So, for the banks and energy, U.S. Treasury market braces for overhaul on their vote of clearing. So, really, what this is about is they are clearing for the bond market, which is larger than the stock market. What they want to do is push it all into central clearing. And I don't know if you watched the video, The Great Taking. If you have not, I highly recommend it. There is a link in the description for this video. It does lay out and explain, and it's mostly with the equities. For someone that worked down in the trenches of mergers and acquisitions, this gentleman really knows what he's talking about. And so they're trying to add in the bond market to this massive event. You put it all bottlenecked into one middle of one room, and when it explodes can really be awful. So anyway, recommend that video if you had not had the opportunity. So we've got Argentina. They got a new central bank chief, new president a few days ago, and he has basically explained to the people that there is no money left. He has revalued the Argentine peso, and so basically he is standing up doing what most politicians will not do. Admitted they have no more money, has cut subsidies and saying there will not be more funding, halted a lot of government projects there, and basically trying, I think they're looking at probably pegging the peso to the US dollar. He is very dollar friendly. So devalued the peso by half, which is a little more realistic for the value. So while this is going to hurt, they are calling it a shock. But in the long run, could be a lot easier. So while the dollar has its issues ahead of it, it is still currently the world reserve currency and is still taking some time. Know that BRICS is up and coming, but they don't have anything in the substructure quite yet. So, in my opinion, it's either the yuan, which has more structural issues at the moment than the US dollar. So, they're finally admitting the Eurozone is entering a recession. So, they've now had 2 consecutive quarters of contraction in the manufacturing. So, they are finally admitting they're actually in a recession. So, the one good news we've got in the United States is that since the rates have come back down, there was a bottleneck in real estate. So, mortgage refinance demand jumped 19% after they dropped. So, everyone that financed at the higher rates, as soon as they dropped, they're refinancing, and any money that people can pull out of their homes, they're doing just that. So, affirm the buy now, pay later, the credit is beginning to lock up a bit. So, this is one more short term pressure relief valve, so to speak. So, the whole climate change thing, they struck a deal to transition away from fossil fuels. So, very interesting. This is still heavily dependent on fossil fuels. and we'll see what that brings forward. So Guyana, there's been a lot of, Guyana is very rich in oil and some offshore oil reserves. So if you're not aware, Venezuela is basically written in that they're willing to take them. The United States is basically backing them because they want the oil. So Guyana is vowing to defend itself by any and all means from this threat. And I just have to say good luck. I admire you standing up for that, but I'm not so sure that would be successful. We'll see how that plays out. So in this whole move of them trying to move away from fossil fuels, the United States, the House, approves a Russian uranium ban. So this is, again, they're shooting themselves in the foot. This is absolutely ridiculous. They have put it through the House. Now it must pass the Senate, but basically they are looking to ban Russian uranium imports. So Russia is the main source for the United States nuclear energy. So I don't know how they're going to look at transitioning away from both fossil fuels and banning Russian uranium at the same time. So as this says down here, Russia owns about 50% of the world's uranium enrichment infrastructure. We call this yellow cake, and they've had this for quite some time. So saying they're going to ban it, I don't think this is going to work very well. We'll see how that transitions. Time for my lava updates, and let's see if I get in trouble with this one. So this is an interesting question. Why can't the US ever say no to Israel? So there is a theory that I was reading about, basically that there is a tie to one certain Ghislaine Maxwell, and that they basically were working possibly for the side of Israel. So this is all hearsay, kind of conspiracy theory type stuff, and that they have basically the dirt on some major United States figures, political figures. And then he quotes this. I don't, anyway, staying outside of that one. What are we going to do? So, some more interesting news. We've got the world's first mind-reading artificial intelligence. So they're translating brainwaves into written text. And basically they've got this, go down and show this apparatus that he's wearing. And they put up a sentence and then tell him to think about this type of sentence they're working on, translating those brainwaves and then do what the artificial intelligence came out with so that they can read your thoughts. There's also, this is a basically kind of companion story and research that they're doing, that artificial intelligence recreating images from human brainwaves, and that it's actually doing pretty well, and this is initial stages. So I think that's very interesting. So we're going to have to, the whole 1984 thing coming about. However, wanted to leave you with some good news because it seems that artificial intelligence truly is developing. ChatGPT gets lazier, and they're saying that in recent days, more and more users have reported that instead of carrying out a task, ChatGPT seems disinterested or gives a partial answer and tells users to finish the job themselves. To me, that's a sure sign that human level artificial general intelligence has been achieved. So I think this is probably the shining light at the end of the tunnel. If it's been trained by a lazier person, we don't have anything to worry about. So just thought I would leave you with that. What's your thoughts on that? Leave your comments in the description. So with that, I urge you to live, trade, and think outside their system. And with this, we've got gold, silver, agriculture, Arsenal and Associates. That's my words for the day. And until I see you again, my friends, stay free.